Hi guys, this is Tyson Checker from STURDYmade. I want to talk to you today about treating your plywood edges so that you can extend the life of your equipment and also prevent horrendous splinter injuries. Splinters are not usually something we focus on when we're worried about injuries for our students, but if it happens, and it can happen badly sometimes, it's something that's pretty much entirely your fault if you design the obstacle yourself because you just didn't care enough to round over the edges properly. Generally, this is going to break down into three important categories here. One is having good plywood to use as a base. One is properly making sure that you're eliminating gaps in your design. And the last one is actually just sanding, preparing, finishing your edges. So generally what you're looking for in plywood choice is you're trying to eliminate as many voids as you can. You can see some of the holes in these plywood pieces here. What happens over time is that that'll break down. Splinters can easily kind of erupt from those, and it's generally not as good as something as like this hardwood piece that, as you can see, has lots of plies and no voids at all. So this is an example of not using high quality enough plywood. This was originally made out of CDX, and the glue that they used, or just the amount of voids that it had, made this whole section delaminate actually multiple times. I've fixed this a couple times going in with glue and lots of screws. You can see all the damage that came out here. While this was breaking, big chunks of it were just kind of coming off, and luckily nobody ran their hand down this while that was happening. That is a danger. So imagine this is a super awesome box that you're building, and as you go to put it together, you notice that the plywood has a gap here on your frame, from your frame sticking up too much. This could be because your dimensions are wrong or because you're building the box and it's not square. Generally, the best thing that you can do is resolve the error just by fixing whatever mistake you made. But you can also fill this with glue. Polyurethane works really well. You can chisel down this edge, you can sand down this edge, you can plane down this edge. If you have a hammer sander, you can even use that. But the problem with leaving it there is that you can attempt to sand this gap as much as you want, but you can't really get inside of this very well. And we found that it'll start splintering on this edge, and if somebody runs their fingers down from doing some parkour technique, it's really nasty splinter that'll happen here. This is a similar problem here where we're proud, we're too much over the edge, and generally in this case I would just plane it or sand it down. So you'll probably never be able to get your edges entirely perfect fitting together. So one trick that I stole from the woodworking world is to just take an old belt sanding paper and just run it over the edge a few times. You're really only looking for a slight round over here. This solves a lot of the problem when things aren't perfectly matching up and you can't sand on the inside because it's already done. It's also a lot nicer to just handle around the shop. Every piece that I cut, I tend to do this to, even if it's only going to be on the inside, because it just makes the product nicer in the long run. So we did prep both sides of these sheets here, but our join, we just had too much of a distance in between this gap, so we're still having this edge deteriorate. I haven't noticed many bad splinters coming off of this just because this box isn't portable. All the impact is down, but if it was portable, that would be a big problem, I think, for people. So the last step is to finish the edges that you aren't going to be hid by your design, that are going to be exposed. Generally, we like to just put a half-inch roundover on with a router bit, and afterwards generally sand this down to, it doesn't need to be all that fine, like 80 or 120 tends to work fine. We also like to finish our edges with a sealant coat. This makes it last a lot longer, I believe. Some of our old equipment has definitely broken down a lot. I'll show you that. But all of our new stuff, we're just doing a couple coats of Polyway on it, and super quick and easy to do. Probably extends the life a few years. So this piece is an example where we didn't have a blocking piece between where the two pieces of ply connected together. So they're only connected together on the studs here, and in between these sections can move apart, which has already resulted in some damage here. And then I easily broke this off in the demonstration here. And even if these were pretty well sanded on both sides, because they could move against each other, they would deteriorate the edges, or if a foot hit it in a very specific way, it could probably knock off a chunk or something like that. This is why backing pieces are important.